Hello, this is going to be a very long and very exciting reading challenge vlog. First things first, new surroundings. I'm actually looking after my parents' dog tonight, and so I am currently in my sister's bedroom just because her bed is more comfortable than the one that is in my old bedroom. And this is a reading vlog that I've been super looking forward to doing for you ever since I went to Yalk. So if you haven't already seen it, I recently posted an epic book haul with tons of books, and I'll go ahead and link it for you. But I bought a lot of books at Yalk, and I came up with this idea that, you know, if I managed to buy this many books over the course of 3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday of Yalk, then how many of those books can I read in the same period of time? So as I'm filming this intro, it is Thursday night, and tomorrow I am going to be starting this reading challenge. So I did bring quite a few of the books with me, even though I'm only here for tonight, just because I wanted to film this intro before going to bed tonight so that tomorrow I can just dive straight into the reading. So I'm going to show you the books that I brought with me. I have selected these books because they're all the shorter, easier reads. Most of them I have access to an audiobook for already. A couple of them I don't, but they're a couple that I think I'm really going to enjoy, and so I'm tempted to just buy those on Audible anyway. So these are the books that I've selected that I think I'm most likely to be able to read the most amount of within this 3-day period. Now I've already calculated how long it would take me to read all of these. There are a couple of graphic novels, so I didn't include the time for those because I don't know, but I have audiobooks for all of the rest, and I listen at 2.5 speed. So if I listen to all of these books at 2.5 speed, then it would take me 35 or just over 35 hours to read all of them, which theoretically is possible in 3 days. It's like 12 hours of reading a day, which is theoretically possible. Whether it's likely to happen, we'll see. Anyway, this is in no particular order. I got them in bags just so that they wouldn't get damaged while I was travelling with them, and I'm going to show you them all. I didn't give you full synopses for these in that haul video, so I'll try and give you a little bit more information about them here. As I mentioned already, this is going to be a very long vlog, so settle in, grab a snack. The first one we have here is The Storyteller by Catherine Williams. The truth is in the telling, and the back reads, I place my hand on my Aunt Anna's journals. A for Anna, A for Anastasia. Could my Aunt Anna be the lost princess? Did Anastasia Romanov survive? And the synopsis is, it's not every day you discover you might be related to Anastasia Romanov, or that the tragic princess actually survived her assassination attempt and has been living as the woman you know as Aunt Anna. For Jess Morgan, who is growing tired of living her life to please everyone else, discovering her late aunt's diaries shows her she's not the only one struggling to hide who she really is. But was her aunt truly a Russian princess, or is this some elaborate hoax? So that one sounds cute and fun. Then we have My Fine Fellow, A Delicious Entanglement by Janique Cohen, and this is what it looks like. And I had a hard time describing this one, so I'm going to just read you the synopsis for this one too. In 1830s England, culinarians, doyens who create gorgeous food and confections for the elite, are the creme de la creme of high society. Helena Higgins, top of her class at the Royal Academy, has a sharp demeanour and an even sharper palate, and no stardom awaits her if she can produce greatness in her final year. Penelope Pickering is going to prove the value of non-European cuisine to all of England. Her contemporaries may scorn her Filipino heritage and her dishes, but with her flawless social graces and culinary talents, Penelope is set to prove them wrong. Elijah Little has nothing to his name but a truly excellent instinct for flavours. London merchants won't allow a Jewish boy to own a shop, so he hawks his pasties for a shilling apiece to passers-by, but he knows with training he can break into the highest echelon of society. society. When Penelope and Helena meet Elijah, a golden opportunity arises to pull off a project never seen before and turn Elijah from a street vendor to a gentleman chef. But Elijah's transformation will have a greater impact on this trio than they originally realise, and mayhem, unseemly faux pas, and a little romance will all be a part of the delicious recipe. That one just sounds so cute to me, I don't know why. Then next up is the book that I'm actually going to start with, because this book has been calling to me for ages generally, but even more so since I bought it at Yalk, and that is A Psalm for the Wild-Built by Becky Chambers. As you'll see, it's a very short novella, and it's a Hugo Award. Is it a Hugo Award winner? Or maybe it's just Becky Chambers is a Hugo Award winner. Either way, very excited. Basically, AI exists but got fed up with humanity and so disappeared into a forest, and now one robot has come back to check on humanity and find out what it is that they need. I'm very excited to read that. Then next we have This Is Why We Lie by Gabrielle Lepore. This is a thrillery mystery thing. Everyone in Gardiner's Bay has a secret. When Jenna Dallas and Adam Cole find Colleen Odell's body floating off the shore of their exclusive coastal town, the community of Gardiner's Bay is shaken, but even more shocking is the fact that her drowning was no accident. With Colleen's death headlining every news station and Jenna's best friend becoming a key suspect, Jenna starts to look for answers on her own, and she uncovers scandals inside Preston Prep School leading back to Rookwood Reform School. She knows she needs Adam on her side, and he's a student at the reform school, so that one sounds overly dramatic, doesn't it? What a fun time. Then up next, another one that I will probably read fairly early on because it is quite short and it's a middle grade. Too Bright to See by Kyle Lukoff. This is lovely and floppy. And 11-year-old Bug is used to haunted things. After all, the occasional cold spot or mysteriously slamming door is to be expected when your house is almost as old as the dirt it sits on. But when a new presence makes itself known the summer before Bug starts middle school, it's clear that the spirit is intent on communicating something directly to Bug, but what and why? As Bug begins to untangle the mystery of this new ghost, an altogether different truth tugs free. It's the answer to a question of identity, one Bug never thought to ask. And as I say, this is a middle grade, so it's going to be a super quick one to read, but it sounds really good. Next we have Fire Becomes Her by Rosie Thor. Flair is power. With one drop of flair, one can light the sky with fireworks or set the world on fire. 17-year-old Ingrid Ellis wants her fair share of flair, and she has a plan to get it. She's going to rise to the top of the arm of Lindenholt, heir to the largest fortune of flair in all of Candace, yeah. But the higher she rises, the further there is to fall. Will Ingrid burn bright or burn it all to the ground? Dun dun dun. We'll find out, maybe, if I get to it. Then we have, I think this one is an adult thriller, but it could be YA. Even If We Break by Marika Nijkamp. 5 friends go to a cabin, 4 of them are hiding secrets, 3 years of history bind them, 2 are doomed from the start, 1 person wants to end this, no one is safe, are you ready to play? Just sounds exactly like what I want to read, to be honest. And then we have the 2 graphic novels. So we have Messy Roots, a graphic memoir of a Wuhanese American, Laura Gao. That's that one, and I mean, it is what the title says it is. After spending her early years in Wuhan, China, riding water buffaloes and devouring stinky tofu, Laura immigrates to Texas, where her hometown is as foreign as Mars, at least until 2020, when COVID-19 makes Wuhan a household name. In Messy Roots, Laura illustrates her coming of age as a girl who simply wants to make the basketball team, escape Chinese school, and figure out why girls make her heart flutter. Insightful, original and hilarious, toggling seamlessly between past and present, China and America, Gao's debut is a tour de force of graphic storytelling, which sounds fabulous. And then we have Nimona by Noelle Stevenson. Nimona is an impulsive young shapeshifter with a knack for villainy. Lord Ballista Blackheart is a villain with a vendetta. As sidekick and supervillain, Nimona and Lord Blackheart are about to wreak some serious havoc. Their mission: prove to the kingdom that Sir Ambrosius Goldenloin and his buddies at the Institution of Law Enforcement and Heroics aren't the heroes everyone thinks they are. Nemesis, dragons, science, symbolism, all of these and more await in this brilliantly subversive, sharply irreverent epic. So, I think it's kind of like a... our heroes are actually the villains kind of thing. Premeditated Myrtle by Elizabeth C. Bunce. This is a middle grade, and I'll just read you the back actually. I didn't have any suspects yet in Miss Woodhouse's death, and I couldn't prove anything, but I was starting to see a preponderance of the evidence. Old ladies in good health didn't just suddenly drop dead in the middle of the night after the total destruction of their life's work. Maybe I couldn't call for an inquest, but I certainly found Miss Woodhouse's death suspicious. More than suspicious, in fact. It was murder. And there's a picture of a cat on the back, so, you know, clearly I want to read it. Then we have Sense and Second Degree Murder by Tirzah Price. Sense and Sensibility gets a healthy dose of homicide in this new series based on Jane Austen's most beloved books. When aspiring scientist Eleanor Dashwood discovers her beloved father slumped over the desk of his office study, she knows this death means dire straits for the Dashwood women. What's worse, an outdated will entails his estate, including Norland and Company, the private investigation firm where her younger sister Marianne worked as her father's protege, to their half-brother and his haughty wife, who waste no time in forcing the Dashwoods out of their home and into a cramped apartment in London's Barton Street. But before they go, the Dashwood sisters make a startling discovery that points to foul play and a killer who might be family. It could be dangerous, it could ruin their reputations, and most important, it won't bring back their father. But if the Dashwood sisters can bring their father's murderer to justice, it may bring them all some comfort and might even lead to love. Which, I mean, I feel like I should probably read Sense and Sensibility before reading this, but I don't have time to add that into this vlog now, do I? And then the two that I don't have audiobooks for yet, but I really am very excited to read both of them, and so I'll probably buy the audiobooks, are I Kissed Shara Wheeler by Casey McQuiston, which is another queer love story. A month before graduating from Willow Grove Christian Academy, the principal's perfect daughter, prom queen Shara Wheeler, kisses Chloe Green and vanishes. On a furious hunt for answers, Chloe discovers she's not the only one Shara kissed. There's also Smith, Shara's longtime sweetheart, and Rory, Shara's bad boy neighbour with a crush. Thrown into an unlikely alliance, Chloe, Smith and Rory follow Shara's trail of annoyingly cryptic clues, and Chloe starts to suspect that there might be more to this small town and to Shara than she thought, which is like romance mystery. Love it. And then the last one is Zachary Ying and the Dragon Emperor by Shiran J. Zhao. Meet Zachary Ying, a regular 12-year-old gamer who happens to be a long-lost descendant of the first emperor of China, the Dragon Emperor. Now the emperor is back from the dead, he needs Zach's help to battle mythological creatures, and he's not going to take no for an answer. I've heard great things about this. I'm very excited to read it. Yes, I know this is a lot of books. Clearly, well, not clearly, it is possible that I could read them all. Like, we've discussed the timings. If I do nothing but read this whole 3 days, then I could probably do it. But the reality is I don't want to burn myself out, and also I am looking after my parents' dog. As I mentioned, he's very old and he needs a lot of help, so I'm not going to get as much reading done tomorrow morning probably until my parents get home. And I have yoga classes on Saturday and on Sunday, so I don't think I'll read all of these. So let's talk priorities. Of course, I definitely want to read this one. This one is top priority. This one sounds really cute. I think I'm quite keen to read that one as well. I really like the sound of this one, so I really want to read that. The graphic novels I think are pretty easy ones that I should be able to achieve, so let's do those. This one I'm particularly keen on. I mean, already this is getting ridiculous, isn't it? This one, this one, this one, this one. I mean, the only three the three that I would drop first are The Storyteller, This Is Why We Lie, and Fire Becomes Her. Those are the ones that are calling me to me the least out of this massive stack. But I think my priorities to start off with are going to be Psalm for the Wild Built, Too Bright to See, My Fine Fellow, Nimona, and Messy Roots. If I get through all of those, then probably my priorities after that are the two that I don't have audiobooks for yet, because I am really keen to read those. And then the other middle grade, and then this one, and then this one. I think that's the order of priority. That could all change. We're gonna see how this goes, but as of right now, it is just past 11 on Thursday night. This camera is precariously balanced on a duvet at the moment, so I think I'm gonna go and get some sleep, and then in the morning I will make a start on this. I'll make a start on this before I check in with you again, so probably the next time you see me I will have read this, because the audiobook is only 4 hours, so it's less than 2 hours to read it. Hour and a half, something like that, and my drive home is half an hour as it is. So that's where we're at. Wish me luck. See you soon. As you can probably tell, I am home now. This lighting is not the best. Apologies. I've had not a particularly successful day so far as reading goes. It's been a little bit on the slow side because I've been really tired. When it's hot like it is at the moment, I just get really headachy and tired, so there is that. But I did finish my first book, which was A Psalm for the Wild Built by Becky Chambers, which is the first book in the new Monk and Robot series by them. Does Becky Chambers use? No, she uses she, her pronouns. By her. And I liked it. I didn't like it as much as I enjoy her Wayfarer series books, but I did still really enjoy it. It was really sweet, and as I think I mentioned already, it follows a tea monk who is searching for their purpose in life, and a robot who has been sent on a mission to discover how humans are doing since robots left all that time ago. So I have finished my first book and I did enjoy it, and I am now on my second book, which is Too Bright to See by Kyle Lukoff, and I'm about 58% of the way through. I'm on page, I don't know, because I'm halfway through a chapter and I've been listening to it on audio, but I'm in chapter 11 and I'm enjoying it so far. It is middle grade and it is about a character named Bug who has just lost their uncle, and their house is haunted, or at least they seem to think so. I think that actually what's happening is that Bug is coming to terms with their identity. So I'm using they them pronouns for them at the moment. Technically, at this point in the story, they're using, or others are using, she, her pronouns for them. But that doesn't seem right for Bug, but Bug hasn't figured that out yet. So I don't know whether Bug's going to end up being non-binary or trans. I'm leaning trans at the moment. is kind of the feel I'm getting from them, but we'll see what happens. I'm really enjoying it though. And then it is already quite late, it's nearly 9 p.m, so the day has really got away from me, but I think I will go ahead and start Messy Roots straight after. I don't know if I'll be able to read all of this today. I mean, it is a graphic novel, so it's not impossible, but also it's 270 pages, so even as a graphic novel it's fairly lengthy, and I'm still pretty tired. So we'll see how we go. I did get to hang out with my parents for a bit today, and they have a pool, a small pool in their garden, so we were able to hang out in that for a bit, which was nice because, as I mentioned, it's very hot. And yeah, that's where I am at with this reading challenge so far. So we're off to a little bit of a slow start, but I think there's still time to catch up. Tomorrow, other than a yoga class at 11:30, I don't have any plans other than reading, so hopefully we can make some good progress tomorrow. In an ideal world, I would finish Too Bright to See, Messy Roots and Nimona today, but I don't think that that's very realistic. We shall see. And I will check in with you once progress has been made. Hello, it is Saturday. It is the afternoon. I had my yoga class this morning, which I just got back and showered from, and I ordered some sushi to have for lunch, so I'm going to sit down and do a bit of reading while I eat that. But before I do that, I wanted to update you. I did finish Too Bright to See last night by Kyle Lukoff, and I really enjoyed this. It was a really sweet story. I do definitely recommend it, and it's a nice quick easy read about possibly a haunted house and a young person who is trying to identify their gender identity, and I really enjoyed it. And then I did also last night start Messy Roots, but I didn't manage to finish it. I was just really tired. So I got 98 pages in, so I will be finishing this one a little bit later on, but while I'm eating I'm going to start an audiobook. So I'm going to start in on My Fine Fellow because I'm going to be eating lunch, and I feel like starting a book that's about food fits quite nicely with that. So this is the one I'm going to start the audiobook for while I'm eating my lunch, and I will update you a little bit later on today. I do still want to finish this one today, of course, and I want to finish this one today, and I want to finish at least one more book today, possibly another one, like another two after these two ideally, but it is 20 to 2 already, so I don't know. But I've still got the whole of today and the whole of tomorrow, so I think it's going okay so far. Okay, unfortunately I have decided to DNF My Fine Fellow, which is really sad because I was really looking forward to it. I've made it to chapter 11, which is page 132, which according to the audiobook is 40% of the book, and I just don't really care about what's happening to the characters. There are descriptions of food, but they're not making me feel like I'm really that interested in eating anything which is being made, which is usually what you want from a book that has food content, and I'm just not feeling it. Helena is one of the main characters and she is awful, but not in a interesting way. Penelope is lovely, but again not in an interesting way. And Elijah, who, this is a, I didn't realise, a My Fair Lady retelling. I'm not overly familiar with the My Fair Lady story other than a basic understanding of what it's about, and Elijah is Eliza, and I'm not really bothered about his transformation either. So given that the whole point of this vlog is to be excited about reading and read as many books as possible, I feel like I've given this a really good go, but I really just, it's gonna send me slumpy. In fact, I already feel like I've wasted too much time on it, to be perfectly honest with you. So yeah, I am sadly DNFing this one. I am gonna go ahead and carry on with Messy Roots for now while I think about what I want to read next. But I'm just looking at the pile over there and I'm wondering if maybe I'll do the Casey McQuiston, or maybe I'll do Even If We Break, which is a thriller, because that should be quite fast paced and keep me engaged and entertained, and also Even If We Break is quite short. So I'll probably do one of those two. I've also realised that the audiobook for Zachary Ying is not available in the UK, which is also really sad, and the wait time on the library audiobooks is very long, so as in library cards that I have in the States where it is available. So I am still going to continue trying to research if I can get hold of it anywhere in the UK, but I don't think it's licensed here, which again, very sad, and I definitely don't have time to read it physically in this particular vlog. So I'm going to carry on with Messy Roots. It wasn't totally grabbing me when I was reading it last night, but I'm only sort of like, what is that, about a third, maybe just a little bit over a third of the way through it. So hopefully as I continue reading it and I'm less tired than I was last night, I will get on better with it. But that is sadly a DNF, so sad times. Sorry that my background isn't changing much in this vlog, but I am very literally just sitting on the sofa and reading the whole time, so this is my reality. I have finished Messy Roots by Laura Gao and I liked it. I found that it jumped around a little bit more, so I was a little bit confused in places, and it actually wasn't as much about Laura Gao's experience with being Wuhanese during COVID. Really, there were only a few pages that were about that. Most of it was focused just on being a Chinese American growing up in Texas and not feeling like she fit in with her American counterparts, but then not really feeling like she fit in with her Chinese family either. And I think that that's really relatable for a lot of people, unfortunately, and I've certainly felt that way sometimes. I'm Portuguese and British, and sometimes I don't feel Portuguese enough. Not so much that I don't feel British enough, because I've always lived here, well, apart from like ages 1 to 3, and so I haven't ever really felt like I wasn't British enough, but other people, especially in school, would like tease me for being Portuguese and having Portuguese parents and that kind of thing, which I appreciate is not at all the same thing as the racism that Laura Gao faced when she was at school. My point is that, you know, it is an unfortunately relatable story for a lot of people to have faced some kind of prejudice when they were younger because of who they are or who their parents are or whatever else. So I did enjoy it. I liked the art style. I did find it jump around a little bit, like I mentioned, and it wasn't quite what I expected it to be, but I did still enjoy it. I am thinking about now what I want to move on to read next, and I'm choosing still between Even If We Break and I Kissed Shara Wheeler. I haven't decided which one of those I'm going to do yet, but I did just find that there is an audiobook version of Nimona, and I've never listened to an audiobook while following along in a graphic novel. That's something I've never done before, so I think I'm going to do that and see how that goes. So I probably won't read it all in one go, because Lee's gonna get home soon and then we're gonna have dinner. But, or maybe I'll start making dinner and listen to, yeah, actually I think I'm gonna start dinner and start listening to Even If We Break. That's what I'm gonna do. I have decided. As always, my lighting is fabulous. I have indeed started Even If We Break. I'm just coming up on 80 pages in. I've read the first 7 chapters, most of that when I was cooking, and then I just read a bit now to finish off the chapter that I was in. And it's a group of friends that, I mean, they don't really seem like friends, to be honest. They feel like they're friends because they feel like they're supposed to still be friends, but most of them aren't really friends with each other, and some of them don't even actually like each other. And they've got together because they want to play one last game. They do these kind of like role-playing murder mystery games, so that's what's happening. And I mean, so far it's fine. The audiobook is a full cast, which is good. I like that, but I'm not massively enjoying the audiobook, and I am struggling a little bit to differentiate between the characters, and I can't put my finger on exactly why it is that I am struggling to differentiate the characters, because they all have slightly different things about them. But I am, you know, only just starting the book. How many pages is this actually? 309, so I'm not even like a third of the way through yet. So I'm going to carry on with that in a little bit, but first I am going to read Nimona, which is a graphic novel, but as I mentioned earlier, there's an audiobook for it, and I don't really know how that's going to work, so I'm going to try an immersion read. And I mean, I presume that the audiobook is just the text from like the actual writing in the graphic novel, but I don't know. So I'm going to give that a go, and it's only an hour at 2.5 speed, so I will let you know once I've read it. And this, how many books have I read so far? 3, and a DNF'd one, because I've read Messy Roots, Too Bright to See, and A Psalm for the Wild Bill, and DNF'd My Fine Fellow. So once I finish this, I will have finished 4 books, and once I finish Even If We Break, I will have finished 5. And I would like to try and finish both those tonight before I go to bed, ideally. But that's going to take me until past midnight, so let's see if I make it. Okay, I'm barely into this, like, I've read this little bit here, page 34. This audiobook is incredible. It's a graphic audio, which, you know, I probably should have predicted, but it wasn't called graphic audio, and I think that's because graphic audio is like a brand name kind of thing. But this is a graphic audio. It has got a full cast, it's got background sound effects and all that kind of thing. It's really fun. I would recommend the audiobook generally so far, but I definitely recommend immersion reading it like what I'm doing, because I don't know, the style, the vibe of the audiobook really fits with the style and vibe of the graphic novel art, and it's really funny so far. It's basically Nimona becomes the sidekick of a villain, but this villain is like an honourable villain, and she's like, no, you're a villain, kill people, do destructive stuff, and he's like, no, we have to play by the rules, and she's like, but you're a villain, you're not supposed to play by the rules, that's what villainy is about. And then there's, you know, the hero, which is the nemesis of the villain, but they're basically friends, and it's really amusing so far. So far so good, and I don't think I'm going to have a problem finishing this, but it is shining a light on the fact that I'm not particularly engaged by this one just yet. So there we go. I finished Nimona. It was fantastic. I wish it wasn't a standalone. I wish there was more. I loved it. Highly recommend. Also highly recommend the audiobook, which is available on Scribd. Favourite so far. Surprisingly. I expected to like it, but I did not expect to love it as much as I did. It was so good. So good. So good. It is Sunday afternoon and I am very hot and lethargic. It is so warm inside my apartment. I think it's about 90 degrees Fahrenheit, 32 degrees centigrade outside right now. And in my apartment, it's 29 degrees centigrade, which I think is about 84 Fahrenheit for my American friends in my apartment. And I don't have aircon or anything like that, so I am just so hot. So if you can hear a bit of a wind, it's because I've got the fan on me. I have been reading Sense and Second Degree Murder by Terza Price, and I'm about this far through. So like what? Just about 60% of the way through. I'm on page 256. It's quite good fun, and I'm hoping to finish it in the not too distant future. I was just talking to Joanna and Abby about the fact that I'm only really just realising that there really is like no fantasy on this TBR at all. So far I've read one sci-fi novella, one horror middle grade, I've DNF'd a historical fiction, I've read a graphic novel memoir, a superhero graphic novel, which I suppose was kind of fantasy, but it doesn't really count because it's a graphic novel. You know, like it doesn't give me that fantasy fix. And then last night, have I even told you last night I finished Even If We Break? I did. I wasn't that impressed. It was fine. I read the whole thing because I kind of wanted to know what the answer to the mystery was, but honestly I could have just as easily looked up a spoiler for it and would have been probably just as entertained because I wasn't really into that book that much. This one I am enjoying more, but again it's a historical mystery. And then after this, I mean, my plan was to read Premeditated Myrtle, but that's a pretty similar genre to this one, and I'm feeling a little burnt out on mystery because it's not really my genre, and I'll have read two back to back once I finish this, although Even If We Break is more kind of a thriller mystery, but whatever. I really want to read Zachary Ying, but I can't get an audiobook for it and I don't have time to read it physically, so yeah, I'm a little bit stumped there. And also I am starting to get a bit burnt out on reading in general, I think, so I might actually just even take a break now and watch an episode of My Cat from Hell, just for a little bit of variety. I do have a yoga class a little bit later at 5:45, it's only 3:15 now, so I've got a while until that. I'll definitely finish this before I go for yoga. I think I've got about an hour and a half of it left, and I have, how long is that, 2.5 hours until yoga, so I've got plenty of time to watch an episode, finish my book and figure out what I want to read next before my yoga class. So I'm feeling very low energy though, because it's so hot and the air is just like so thick, there's like no freshness at all, so yeah, I am not, the UK is just not built for this, it's really just unpleasant. So as you can probably tell from the lighting, it is much later now, much later, 10:30 to be precise. I did finish Sense and Second Degree Murder, but it did take me absolutely ages. I honestly kept falling asleep. I was really into it at the start, but it lost me somewhere and I'm not entirely sure at what point it lost me, but it did. I can't really figure out what it was that I didn't love about it, because its comps are the Stalking Jack the Ripper series by Kerry Maniscalco and the Lady's Guide to Petticoats and Piracy series, which I haven't read, but I did read and binge read the Stalking Jack the Ripper series and loved it. I was obsessed with those 4 books, and they are mysteries with romance, which is what this is. But I think that I wasn't invested in the romances, and I wasn't invested in the mystery either. And so it had all of the trappings for a book that I was going to enjoy, and I just didn't. And I'm really sad because it basically took me all day to read it because I didn't love it, and I kept kind of expecting to love it and then not loving it. So maybe I should have DNF'd it, I don't know. Point being, I have only read 1 book today, which really sucks. So I have read, I'll do a proper wrap up in the morning, I think, but I've read 6 books and DNF'd 1 at around the 40% mark, which is not as impressive as I was hoping for, but you know, it's still making a decent dent in the TBR. So like I said, I will do a proper wrap up in the morning to remind you of what I read and what I thought, and I will probably be unhauling some of these books as well. So I will see you in the daylight hours. Okay, so here we are at the end of my reading challenge to read for 3 days as many as possible of the books that I managed to accumulate within the same period of time, 3 days. And definitely the book buying won, but we knew that was going to happen anyway. But it won by a lot more than I had hoped. This didn't go as well as I would have liked, and I think in part I've been kind of ruminating on it, and I think partially it's because I can't binge YA the way that I used to because I've kind of outgrown it a little bit in terms of my reading taste rather than my age. And the second thing is that actually most, if not all of what I read was not actually within my preferred genre of fantasy. And so reading this much stuff and staying engaged in this much stuff that wasn't fantasy was actually quite challenging for me. So anyway, where did we go? First off, we started with A Psalm for the Wild Built by Becky Chambers, which is a sci-fi novella, as you can tell. And I did enjoy this, not as much as I perhaps expected to, but I did enjoy it. Then I jumped over to a middle grade horror / coming of age story called Too Bright to See by Kyle Lukoff, which I actually enjoyed more than I expected to. This one was a really cute and fun one, and definitely one that I would recommend. Then I started and eventually DNF'd My Fine Fellow by Janika Cohen. This one is a historical fiction which already is not within my genre, but I thought that the culinary aspect of it would keep me engaged, but it just didn't keep me as engaged as I wanted to be, and also I didn't really feel a connection to the characters. So ultimately, at 40% of the way through, I decided to DNF this one, and so I will be unhauling this particular book. It will go onto my Vinted page, which I do have linked down in the description. So if you have any interest in purchasing any books that I've unhauled, then you will find them there. Next, I read Messy Roots, a graphic memoir of a Wuhanese American by Laura Gao, art and story by Laura Gao, and I did enjoy this one. It wasn't quite what I expected. I thought that it was going to be more focused on the author's experience of being Wuhanese during the pandemic and the prejudice that they faced as a result of that. But that was only a couple of pages. The rest of the time was more of their experience of being Chinese more generally in Texas while they were growing up, and the prejudice that they faced through that and the difficulties they experienced through family expectations. So it wasn't that I didn't enjoy it, it's just it wasn't what I expected it to be. I did enjoy it, but I can't foresee myself rereading this one, so I'm going to be unhauling this one as well. Then one that I thoroughly enjoyed was Nimona by Noelle Stevenson. This one I definitely recommend. It is a fantasy graphic novel about Nimona, who becomes a sidekick to a villainous character, supposedly, and they get involved in various supposedly villainous activities. But it's one of those where the tropes are being subverted and you're asking yourself who's really a villain and who's really a hero and what do those things mean. But ultimately this was just a lot of fun. I'll definitely be keeping this and I would highly recommend it. I think this was my favourite read of the bunch. Then Even If We Break by Marika Niekamp. I felt very meh about this book. It was kind of a thriller. I thought it was going to be adult, but actually it wasn't. It was YA, which is fine, and I thought that I liked YA thrillers, but thinking back on some that I've read recently, I haven't found one that's worked for me for a while, so maybe they don't actually work for me anymore. I don't know. But this one, I kind of kept reading it because I did kind of want to know what the answer was, but I wasn't really that bothered. So I'm going to be unhauling this one as well. I won't be selling it because it is an ARC, so I will probably put it on the bookshelf at work for people to take if they want it. But if you have a particular desire for this book, then let me know and I could send it to you. Probably just in the UK though, I don't think it would be worth it to send it anywhere else. And then finally I read Sense and Second Degree Murder by Terza Price, which is a Sense and Sensibility retelling but with a murder mystery plotline. And it started off well, but it did lose me somewhere. I don't know exactly where, but I just wasn't invested in either the mystery or the romance, which kind of means that this was a miss for me, and it's really a shame because it sounded like the kind of thing that I would really enjoy. I think I mentioned in the last clip that I thoroughly enjoyed the Stalking Jack the Ripper series, and this is kind of a similar sort of genre and idea, so I had high hopes, but sadly no. So this one is going to be an unhaul as well. And that is it. Those are the 6 books and 1 DNF that I read in this 3-day reading challenge. I still have 18 books that I purchased at Yalc on my pile. Do I feel a little bit nervous about them now, considering how this whole experiment went? Yeah, kind of, to be honest, but we shall see. You'll have to let me know what you thought of this reading challenge. Did I do okay? Why do you think I didn't do as well as I wanted to? And if you want me to do a second version of this, then I actually could do that, because as I mentioned, I have enough books left over from Yalc. But equally, maybe I could do another 3-day reading challenge where I read adult fantasy. I don't think I'd read as much, but maybe I'd have more success with liking the books that I read. Anyway, let me know if you want me to do any particular videos or if you have any particular thoughts. Like I said, my Vinted will be linked down in the description if you have any interest in it, in any of the books that I have unhauled either in this video or recently. There's quite a few books on there. I do have an unhaul video coming to the channel soon. I do also have my Ko-fi linked down below, as well as a whole bunch of other links. And that's it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video and want to see more like this from me, then do think about hitting that subscribe button, and I hope to see you here again soon. Thanks.